We've got a Yardmachines with a Tecumseh 3.8 horsepower engine. I bought it off Marketplace for $25 because it's got a broken pull rope. Let's get that fixed.
Alright, so we've got it inside on the bench now. As you can see, it's pretty basic Tecumseh engine. And you can always tell it's a Tecumseh engine because it's got both the exhaust and the intake on the same side of the engine. Let's start examining this little mower. Alright, so first things first, let's take a look at a couple of things. And of course, the first thing we really should take a look at is if there's fuel in the tank. So let's have a look. Oh yeah, sure enough. Of course there is. There is gasoline in there. So seeing as there's gas in the tank, we're definitely going to have to drain it before we even try to start it. Makes me a little curious about the condition of this bowl, considering it looks like it was stored with gas. But at the same time, that could be new gas, because it didn't smell bad, but it could only be maybe a year old or 6 months old. So I want to crack this bowl open and see what's in there. But first things first is we've got to drain this fuel. But let's keep examining this mower. Let's take a look at the air filter now. Look at this one. It's definitely seen some water being sucked in there. And it's really dirty. Gonna have to put one of these on order. Take a look at that. The filter's actually coming apart on the inside. This one definitely needs replacement. Well, no point in putting that back. So next, let's take a look at the condition of this bulb. It's cracking at the tip, as you can see. Oh, look at this. That's torn. Yeah, we might as well just take this whole thing off for now. I'll have to get a new one of these ordered and installed as well. I don't think that would have been doing anything at this point anyway. So it looks like this little mower needs a little bit of work, but it's not too bad. Let's drain the fuel. And then we can get this carburetor off and see what's in it. All right, so let's get the brake line clamp on. There we go. I got my fuel bottle. Now let's get the gasoline line off. See if I can get you guys to have a better view. Okay, hopefully this is a bit better view. Let's see if I can get this clamp off. Doesn't look like it's going to be easy, as the tines to take them off are actually at the back. That's going to be tough. Wonder if I can spin it at all. Try to spin it. Got to be the hard way I'm doing it. I'm sure the easy way would be just simply take the exhaust off, take the intake off, and then you can take this off. But all right, I'm going to bite the bullet and just do it the proper way. Okay, so we're back to this way. So I'm going to get, I believe this is 7/16 and get these off. Well, instead of 7/16, I've got an 11 mil. These always come out very easy for me. There we go. Now Phillips head screws. All right, I moved you down so you can get a better view of this screw. Oh, it's a tight one. Oh, I got it. Just support the carburetor. Take this out. Oh, I just found another surprise. Let me take this off and I'll show you the surprise I found. So look at this breather tube. The tube's actually in pretty good shape. But up here, underneath the engine cover, not so good. That's going to be a problem. I'm going to have to order that part. I have another Tecumseh engine, but the problem is it has a different air intake than this one. So this one's definitely going to need this replaced. See, $25 for this. And you see all sorts of different little secrets that it hides. But apparently it runs really good. All right, so now we can get the fuel line off. I don't have to worry about a whole bunch of gasoline pouring out of the gas line. And I don't have to worry about a whole bunch of gasoline coming out of there because I've got it clamped off. But for sure there's going to be gasoline in the bowl. I'm going to move you around so you can get a better view of what I'm doing. Got to be careful with this because it is plastic. You don't want to break that. I do have another carburetor for this, but if I don't have to put any more money into this than I already do, I'd rather not. There we go. Let's set the carburetor aside, but I'm going to keep the linkage on it for no other reason but to keep it upright so the gasoline that's in it doesn't spill down the intake. Right, I'm going to hold this up a little, brace it, because there is a tiny bit of gasoline in the line. I don't want it to spill everywhere because a tiny drop of gasoline and it just fills the whole area up with its vapors and it really stinks. So I've got my gas bottle, put the end in. There we go. Now let's release the clamp. And we got flow. Perfect. We'll let this drain for a few minutes. Not that we have much choice. If it takes a few minutes, it takes a few minutes. I'll speed through this. At least you guys get to see it in high speed. Yeah, I'm just going to lift the gasoline tank off. There we go. I'm going to plug the hose. And I'm going to set the gas tank aside. So this gasoline looks pretty new. Like that looks almost like fresh gasoline. So I don't think there's any water in here. I think this is pretty good. I'll probably use this back in the tank when it comes to testing because there's no reason not to. Now let's take this guy apart. There we go. There. Let's spring off and that can sit on the mower deck. All right, let's take this over for cleaning. All right, so Got the carburetor here. I want to get the bowl off. That is a 1/2-inch wrench. There we go. Yeah, man, don't be shy. You can come off. You can show your innards. There we go. Very nice. Very nice. Look at that. There's the bowl gasket. The bowl gasket looks good. And the bowl's looking good. A little bit here. Oh, that should clean up no problem. So I'm going to put this in the ultrasonic to clean it all up. So it should come out perfect. All right, so let's take this guy apart. Pin looks good. No corrosion. The floating needle. Carburetor down for a second. Go. Float's good. I don't hear any water inside. Needle looks really good. Let me turn my flashlight on. Give me 1 second. Take a look at that seat for the needle. Yeah, it actually looks pretty good. We got a blue one today. Yeah, it looks all right. I'm gonna pop that out. Hopefully it won't give me much trouble. And then we'll pull the rest of this apart and pop it in the ultrasonic cleaner. There it went. She popped out. Give her a couple taps. Let me just get my Allen wrench. Okay, let's see if I can pick it out first. There we go. Got it. There's the little emulsion tube. Set that aside and clean it out with the wires. Now let's just separate these two items. So you have a 3/8 on one side. That would be this side. And you have a 7/16 on the other. If my hands aren't stunned, I should be able to do this. Nope, my hands are stunned. So try with the 3/8 here. There we go, got it. No problem at all. Okay, the other side, same thing. 3/8, 7/16. There we go. And it's off. There we go. Now we'll split these two. Gasket looks pretty good, as does that one. I'm going to take these ones and see will they come off. Yep, let's see. Going to come off all the way. There we go. That came off nice. Yep, that one comes off okay. go. And so does that one. So let's just give this a quick little scrub out. All right, that'll be fine. Now, this one. Take out the idle set screw. Oh, it's a Torx. Of course it is. Okay, let's take out the idle set screw. Torx T10. And this lawnmower, it does not idle. So you just have to poke it through a couple threads. You don't want it to actually affect the operation of your throttle at all. And last but not least, I just have to pick out the remnants of the old primer bulb. So I'm just going to get a flat screwdriver and pick that out. That's what's left of the primer bulb. I'm just going to give this a quick brush off. The old gasoline looked fine. There's no water in it, which I didn't think so after I drained out the tank. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So let me go put this in the ultrasonic cleaner and we'll be right back. So I'll see you back in a little over 9.5 minutes. All right, so it's been actually a lot longer than 10 minutes. Actually been a lot closer to 2 hours. But that's just because I gave it an extra 10 minutes in the ultrasonic to make sure that it got everything. And then I let it sit out for a bit just to air dry. Then I rinsed it off and blasted it with some compressed air. I think it came out fantastic. It looks really, really good considering the age of this mower. The intake looks really good. And the bowl looks fantastic. Even the nuts, they actually came out really clean as well. All right, let's get this back assembled. It's actually sitting almost perfectly level. It's really good. Let's get the bowl gasket in. Flat side of the bowl goes at the back. Bowl gasket doesn't want to cooperate now.
There we go. Let's get the bowl nut in. Make sure it goes in straight. ½ inch. Not too tight, you don't need to strip it out. It is screwing into aluminum. Next, let's get that idle set screw in. T10 Torx. So you only want it to stick out just a little bit. You don't want it to actually influence the idle of this lawnmower since it does not idle. So there we go. Just touching it. Next, let's get the air filter adapter on. Even these screws cleaned up really nice. Now is the fun part. Putting this part back together and then putting it back on the lawnmower. Seem to get a lot of these little MTD machines. Kind of like them though. Like the Tecumseh engines on them. Remember, this bracket points up. This part going to the intake, it goes on the inside. This gives extra tension on the governor arm. (7/16). And on this side I have 10 mil. Just snug them up. You don't have to go crazy. Basically hand tight is more than enough. I just make sure that I can't really turn these with my hand like this. There we go. This gasket sits on just like that, and that goes onto the engine. So I'm going to take this over to the mower, and it's getting a little late, so I'm going to probably pack it in, but tomorrow I should have a delivery, and I should have a new primer bulb and a new air filter for this. Okay, so we're just going to take the recoil starter off. There's 2 screws on this. There's one here and one back here. They're both 1/4 inch. So let's get those off. Here we go. Recoil starter off. This will be an easy fix. Alright, so since we've got the recoil starter off and we're here, let's get the shroud off, then we can take a look at this breather tube. So for this, we've got 2 3/8 at the front and 2 5/16 at the back. One here, one here. So let's get those off. So let's get the 3/8 off at the back. 2. Oh, that one was tight. That one was tight too. Had to use a wrench to get them off. There we go, number 2. Now let's take a look at that breather tube. Now that breather tube's not looking very good. Take this out. Wonder if I should just cut this and put it in, because this breather tube is pretty long So let's just do that. Because the rest of this rubber doesn't seem too bad, so let's just cut this off. Put the breather back in. There we go. That actually should work okay now. Alright, so since we have the recoil starter off, we might as well change the rope out. And nice thing is, I have the original rope, so I can measure this off quickly. So let me quickly do that. Now I'll leave enough for knots on either end. There we go. Nice clean cut. Let me burn the end, make sure so it doesn't fray. There we go. Alright, might as well get it out of the handle first. Grab my needle nose. There we go. I'm going to put the new rope through. Oh, we'll put a knot on the end. There we go. Okay, so put these here. Won't be needing the scissors or the rope anymore. So I'll put this rope away. Now let's get this onto here. Oh, what's this? Look at that, a 10mm. So that's where they hide. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-wind this. So I'm going to pre-tension the spring by winding it in the direction of where you pull it out. So as you pull it out, it spins this way. And the spring is actually clipped. If you look, there's the spring. Right here. You can see the spring. And underneath here, there's a clip. The spring is around. And that holds it in place so that as you twist this, as you pull the rope out, well, to allow it to go back, that spring just retracts the rope for you. So I'm going to pre-tension it so that that rope will get sucked on. So let's do that. I'm basically just going to be turning it till it stops. I think one more time. This is it. I can already feel it's all the way tensioned. There we go. Yeah, she's ready to spring back on me. I'm going to see if my little helping hands can give me a helping hand holding the spring in place. Let's see. Yep, they can. Perfect. Now let's get the rope on. Okay, so I turned on the light, so hopefully that'll help a little bit more. What we need to do is get the rope from this hole here through into this hole right here.
It's not too bad.
And since we've melted the end, it's nice and firm and it should go through very easy.
Now what's actually going to happen is it's probably going to be difficult, because that's just how it is. Oh, nope. Look at that. That was actually fairly simple. Now we'll put a little knot on it. Not too big because it has to fit in here. There we go. I'll pull it tight in. Release my helping hand. And now I'll slowly let it in. Oops, sorry, Mr. Scissors. You can't be there. And there we go. Ready for reinstallation. Yeah, that works really nice. All right, let's go back to the mower. Get this reinstalled. And I have an idea of what to do about the air filter. I think I might just change the whole box to this design instead. This way, I don't have to worry about that hose being broken because the air tube hat is a little bit longer. And I do have a carburetor that will work. If not, I can always plug off the air vent on this carburetor. We shall see. Let's go back to that. Okay, now that that's all done, we can get to installing the carburetor. So I was thinking of putting on a different air box, but after doing a little bit of looking, and I'd have to remove, actually I couldn't even put on a different air box because the other air box, it wouldn't have mattered if this thing is, at least I thought it wouldn't have mattered if this hose was a little bit broken because the inlet would have been a little bit longer, but it's not. It actually makes it a lot more difficult because it's a lot smaller. So what I'm thinking I'm going to have to do, quite likely, unfortunately, I may have to get a new one of these and just put this project on hold until either I can get that plus a puller so I can get the flywheel off, or figure out some way to extend this tube so that this is up enough so that the governor arm can pass underneath. What I may try to do is just do that, get this all back together, and then just see if I can figure out some way that I can extend this a little bit bigger, or maybe we'll figure out some way that we can make it work. Let's get it back together at the very least. We have these two Phillips head screws that hold on the intake. We need to put this gasket on first. There we go.
Now before I go any further, I want to get the fuel line on. There we go. There we go. It's on. I wonder if that'll work. We'll have to see. You just dry fit the shroud. I might be able to keep this up off here, maybe using a zip tie. Just enough to keep that up so it'll clear the governor arm. But this very well might work. So let's continue what we're doing. Let's get the air cleaner on. New air cleaner. This is the part number. And there we go. That's on. All right, now we just need to get the exhaust back on. Two 11mm bolts. I'm going to thread them in by hand. I'm going to make sure they go in nicely first, so don't accidentally cross thread them. That one seems to go in really nice, but this one seems to want to give me a little bit of trouble. But I guess it's not going in bad. It's just snugging up towards the end. Yeah, there it goes. All right, let me just quickly run them down with the gun the rest of the way. Don't like that. It shouldn't be popping like that already. Let's try switching the bolts. Seems to go in a little bit by hand. I don't know why it won't go in the rest of the way by hand. Maybe the hole's a little dirty. I might have to tap it out, or there's something stuck inside. Let me try blowing it out with some air. See if I can thread it all the way in by hand at the bottom one. Nope. Not at all. This one goes in, no problem. All the way. By hand, no issue. See if it'll do that for the top. Nope, same thing. It snugs it up. I'm going to have to tap that out. Okay. So we just got to tap this hole at the top. And then we'll test it out and see how well the bolt rides in it. So let me just get a little bit of oil in there. This is a 1/4 inch by 20 11mm socket. It should bottom out. Yeah. Oh, maybe not. It's actually going to go straight through. This one that bottoms out. There we go. It's coming out the back. Excellent. Let's try threading in the exhaust bolts. No, it jams up a bit there. I wonder why. Well, it's going in by hand. So that's not bad, actually. So it is good now. I just didn't have the torque with my fingertips. They're a little bit weak. Weak little flanges. Now we can get the exhaust on. There we go. Right, so we're going to torque these down to 60 inch-pounds. There we go. Next, let's get the shroud on, and then we'll get the recoil starter on. So let's do that. All right, so let's get this engine shroud on. There we go. So two 3/8 bolts in the back. And then two 5/16 in the front. There we go. I'll just use the gun to quickly shoot them down. And now let's get the recoil starter on. These are 1/4 inch. Just running it down, not torquing it down yet. Now I'm going to give it a couple shots. One, and now at the back. There we go. All done. Now let's get the linkages back on this governor. So for now, we'll pull this off and get those linkages on. Maybe a zip tie right here. Just open this hole a bit, put a zip tie through, and that should be able to hold it. Let me go grab a zip tie. Okay, I think I found a tie wrap that actually might work. It's actually quite small. Let me see if I can get you a better view. There we go. That's a much better view, isn't it? Yeah, I think this is going to work out great. That's perfect. Okay, so I just got to take this all back off now that I know this is all going to work. This way I can get these linkages back on. Probably should have put them on, thought what the heck, why not? But just in case I had to take it all apart. So just quickly unscrew the intake. Oh good, I can get it off without taking off the exhaust. I think. Yes, I can. Hopefully I can get it back on. Alright, so let's get this guy on.
Dad.
Children. Sorry about that. It's hard to do. Actually, maybe if I use my needle nose, I can keep my hands out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. I'm going to put the intake back on. There's that one. There. That part's done. Let's get the fuel tank on. Plumb in a temporary line into here. And give this mower a test. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use an old Tecumseh gas tank, because this is actually my temporary tank. I took it off of an old Tecumseh Murray 21-inch mower because the engine had a bad bent crank. So I'll just use this. This will work just fine. I can just temporarily plumb it in and then run it off this tank for the short time, and it has a on-off valve. And then as soon as it's done and good, I can put the old tank, the original tank, back on. Sorry, I didn't realize you couldn't see. Just putting on, just plumbing it in now onto the on-off valve. There we go. Now, let's get it outside, fire it up, and see how it works. The last thing we need to do before we get it outside, let's get this primer bulb installed. So put the bulb in. Then there's the retaining ring. Then I take a 3/4 socket, place it over, and just give it a couple raps with a hammer to seat it. So there you go. Primer bulb installed. And that's how easy it is. Now let's get this mower outside. All right, so now to put some gas in this tank and give her a whirl. First things first, let's connect that spark plug. Not forgetting this time. There we go. Good audible click. Get some fuel in this tank. Turn on the fuel valve. Give it a few seconds to fill the bowl. And of course, the fuel valve's leaking. What else is new with these? They always leak. Give it a few primes. Pull the bail. Let's try it out. Look at that! First pull! What a beautiful mower! Use first freaking pull! Oh, I have it here. Looks like it's leaking gas. Let me get this off, give it another cleaning. We'll try it again.
And you can always tell it could, and you can, and the intake, both on the same side as the, both on this. Oh my. Well, that happened, but that's okay. Only a little bit of gas. What I was trying to avoid, I decided to make 3/8, 7/16. Oops. Oh, that's good. Drop it. All right. Okay, the other side, same thing. 3/8, 7/16. Okay, and the other side, same thing. Get the 3/8 on. It wants to stay. 3/8 on. Come on, you can stay. It's okay. You won't be charged if you stay. I don't charge you rent.
Oh, we'll put a knot on the end. Easy. It's like I'm stunned.